that I've been here once or twice. Might have been under different auspices. Somebody else, but it's good to be back here now.
Thank you.
We're here for one simple reason: to show the Congress and the senators, the congressmen and senators that come from Arkansas, that they don't want this bill. More scientifically, John Zogby finished a poll yesterday of all of Arkansas, and he found there are 28% of the state that's demented enough to support this bill, but there is 64% of the state that oppose it. And then they asked a question in this poll. They said if the election were held today and the candidates were Blanche Lincoln as the Democrat and they threw in Gilbert Bennett as the Republican, he might be the candidate, others might be here. We're not here for any one of the candidates in the primary, but they just did that as a head-to-head. And 41% supported Lincoln and 39% supported Bennett, a real horse race. Gilbert? Baker? I hope they got it right in the questionnaire. And then they said, now, is Blanche Lincoln for or against this health care bill? No. Congress. And 42% said she was for it, and 25% said she was against it, and a majority, the rest didn't know. So a majority got it wrong or didn't know. Then they said in this poll, Blanche Lincoln, if you knew that Blanche Lincoln was going to support this bill and the election were being held tomorrow, who would you vote for? And Blanche fell all the way down to 36. Wow. And the opponents jumped way up to 49. So Mrs. Lincoln, you want to know how to go from 2 points ahead to 13 points back? Vote yes. Now listen, we all realize that the uninsured in this country should be covered. But we all realize, those that are here illegally, but the others ought to be covered, but by a prison policy, not but we all also realize one fundamental fact. You cannot cover 36 million new people without any new doctors or new nurses or CAT scans or MRIs. You can't do it. And if you try, you're going to get scarcity. Now, normally what you do in times of scarcity is you raise the price. But you can't do that. So what they're going to do is to start saying no. Now, fortunately, this won't affect anybody here, because as I look at this audience, I see nobody here is on Medicare. There might be a few men on Medicare here, but certainly no women. But the fact is that they're going to start saying no. You can't have this knee replacement. You can't have this hip replacement. You're an 80-year-old, overweight, diabetic who smokes, and I'm sorry, you can't have that bypass surgery. And I know you're going to die. And that's just too damn bad. And this is not the death panels that people have talked about. This is the inevitable consequence of the system. No, it's not. At least you can appeal a death panel. At least you get your day in court. Here, you don't get any day in court. There's a new word we're all going to have to learn if this monstrosity passes, called QARY. QARY. Quality Adjusted Remaining Years.
Oh, man.
So some bureaucrat's going to say, well, you're an 81-year-old white female, you have 5 more years to live. And some other bureaucrat's going to say, well, you didn't pass the test. I guess only 2 of those are quality remaining years. And you don't work for a living, you don't support anybody, you don't generate any income. So maybe you only have 1 or 2 quality adjusted remaining years. And they don't count playing with your grandchildren, and they don't count living a life and providing comfort to people around you. My father is 99 years old.
Yes.
So he was 96. He taught law at New York University.
Wow.
But then he had to have his colon taken out. Now, they would not have permitted that procedure. And my father would have died 3.5 years ago. And I can tell you, those 3.5 years I've had with him, and continue until he reaches over 100, I hope, have sure as heck been quality adjusted years.
Yeah.
The other day I ran into a guy who told me a true story about his dad, who had turned 100 about 7 years before, and he's since died. But he went to his father and said, Dad, I'd love to have a party for you on your 100th birthday. And he said, well, I'd love to. That would be great. So they gave him a guest list, and it included a woman in her 60s named Maureen, who had been seeing him for the last 4 years. So he said, I don't think we should invite Maureen. And they said, what's the matter? Did you guys have a fight? He said, no, it's not that. It's just that she's not family. Dad, not family. You've been seeing her for 4 years. And he said, she thinks I'm 80. Well, they invited her, and sad to say, they broke up a week later. But you know, this whole concept of creating a scarcity is totally artificial. You don't have to do it. When Harry Truman first proposed mandatory universal health insurance, that was Title I of the bill. Title II of the bill was a vast expansion in the number of medical schools and the number of doctors and the number of primary care physicians. You don't need a scarcity. And when there are people who say we have to reduce the amount we spend on health care, I say nonsense. The American population is going to grow by 8% over the next decade, and the number of people over 60 are going to grow by 60% over the same period. What, are you going to spend less on health care when your population's getting older? Who are you kidding? You need more doctors. You need more nurses. You need more equipment. And thank God this country can afford it.